Rory asked after the round why he excels as a chaser. He said, because out of everyone in the field, I care the least about the money. And you see the bonus payouts, $18 million for Rory McIlroy, now a three-time winner of the FedExCup. And Eamon Lynch, when we look at what Rory was able to do on this golf course in this week, in this season, what stands out to you most?
What we have been accustomed to seeing from Rory over the years is the weapons, the booming drives, the approach shot. We know what he's capable of as a player. I think what we saw yesterday was the intimidation value of Rory McIlroy, which we see a little bit less of. And particularly with Scottie Scheffler, there's a tremendous importance on the fact that Rory McIlroy went out to finish his third round Sunday morning. Birdied 17, birdied 18. That put him into the final group on Sunday afternoon with Scottie Scheffler. So Scottie was going to have to see the firepower he was going up against toe-to-toe. He wasn't going to be a group away in the same way that, say, Cam Smith was at the Open Championship. But what we saw from Rory was people, his peers, as they are, seeing exactly what he's capable of when he was in full flight. And the putter was in full flight yesterday. I mean, he finished this season a 16th in strokes gained putting for the entire season, which is by a mile the best career ranking he's ever had in that category. He was second in the field this week at Eastlake. And I think we also saw a lot of grit out of Rory McIlroy as well. I mean, he started on Thursday with a triple bogey on the first hole, bogey the second hole, so the 4 shots he had been spotted under the staggered scoring system was gone. And at one point, even on Friday, he was 11 strokes off the lead, and he starts Sunday 6 strokes back of the world #1 and the undisputed player of the year. So this idea that when Rory McIlroy's out of it, that he doesn't have that kind of grit, or he doesn't have that kind of fire or desire to keep digging for something, I think that's kind of out the window at this point as a talking.
He's playing for something larger than himself, Eamon. To me, this was the most PGA Tour-centric win that I have ever seen. This was Rory McIlroy validating the PGA Tour lifestyle, validating the system as a whole, validating the staggered start, validating it warts and all. Rory McIlroy saying, I am a PGA Tour player, and then standing astride Jay Monahan, the commissioner, holding the FedExCup trophy for a third time. This was the player in the modern game at the age of 33 who has found his voice in a way that we haven't seen. And maybe he's always had it, but for where we sit in the game today, in this fractured era of professional golf, Rory McIlroy has found a rallying cry, but it doesn't mean anything, Eamon, or doesn't mean as much if he's not doing what he's doing right there in that photo, which is winning trophies. To be able to walk the walk and talk the talk and do it on that stage in this moment with everything going on, I just think it's remarkable. We know the firepower. The putting's been criticized from time to time. The wedge game has been criticized. But to watch him do this concurrently, be the conscience of the game and the voice of the game, and then to go out and perform the way he does, 63, 66 on the weekend, I mean, that is powerful, powerful stuff.
To do it as an active elite player, because Tiger has joined him in that fight more recently.
Yes.
But Tiger's not playing much. He's kind of winding down his competitive career at this point. Rory McIlroy isn't. And I think there was a poetry. If you're a fan of the PGA Tour and not a fan of LIV Golf, there was a poetry to what happened yesterday in this tournament, this season in particular, concluding with this man winning. But it's not the first time that Rory McIlroy stepped up in that scenario. If you remember the weekend of the first LIV Golf tournament in London, Rory McIlroy had a shootout with Tony Finau and Justin Thomas. The RBC Canadian Open, which is arguably maybe the best weekend that we saw of golf all year long in terms of drama and the best just going at each other. And it came pretty close yesterday as well, but that RBC Canadian Open, another moment when there's so much noise going on outside of the ropes, and somehow Rory McIlroy seems to find the clarity in those moments to step up and do what he's actually being paid to do. It was a very impressive performance, particularly given that his life has been somewhat chaotic in terms of calls and meetings, particularly even in the last 10 days since that players' meeting on Tuesday of last week in Wilmington, which then forced this kind of accelerated pace of change at the PGA Tour, which we saw the day before the tournament began with Jay Monahan's press release. And Rory also following Jay Monahan onto the stage to announce this new business venture with Tiger around simulator golf. coming up on Monday night, starting in 2024. So there's a lot going on in his world. Perhaps just being inside the ropes, hitting golf shots is actually the welcome distraction.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, Rory McIlroy is a PGA Tour golfer. Tiger Woods is as well, but we know that at the height of power, Tiger would talk about the 4 biggest tournaments to him a year. Didn't mean he didn't show up for PGA Tour events and want to win those. But Rory McIlroy is a players' champion who is embracing the PGA Tour ethos and lifestyle in this moment when the tour is in jeopardy. And to do so, to put yourself out there and to say, I am a PGA Tour player. The FedExCup matters. These events matter. It is a powerful, remarkably strong presentation for this popular global player to put himself out there in the way that he has.
And Tiger never served on the board of the PGA Tour.
Yes.
Rory's serving on the board now in this kind of very fractious period that we live in. He's giving that time to serve there. Tiger, you could argue, has carried the tour, made it what it is today. As much by what he does outside the ropes as what he does inside the ropes. Rory McIlroy's got the tour on his back going forward.
Yeah, and he's carrying it with great aplomb in this PGA Tour season that was.